The drama between Aiden Ross and Misfits is ongoing.
We had never seen him really rocked, knocked down, or knocked out. It was a devastating shot.
Breaking news, KSI has just dropped a bombshell revealing that Evander Holyfield had offered him a massive fight.
Guys, this is stupid. This is not something we should even entertain.
I think would probably be the favorite going into the fight. I didn't think the fight was fun. I didn't think it was a fun watch. It was borderline unwatchable.
It's gone too far. Hello and welcome back to Misfits News. I'm Ben the Bane Davis, as always, joined by my co-host BL. And today we get into some jam-packed drama. We're thrilled to have the legendary Ariel Helwani joining us later. But before we dive into the news and that insane interview, BL, how are you?
I'm very well, Ben. How are you doing today?
Fantastic. A little tired, but we're ready to rumble.
Well, the buzz surrounding this week's news is all about drama. With so much to cover, let me run you through today's agenda. We have quite the lineup for you today. We have Neon's Misfits Boxing debut, diving into Aiden Ross and the Misfits drama, the ongoing feud between Dean the Great and Mams Taylor. KSI reveals that he was going to fight Evander Holyfield, and on top of it all, we have the honor of hearing from the legendary Ariel Helwani.
Kicking off today's episode with a bang, we've got an exciting revelation. It's been confirmed Neon is set to make his Misfits Boxing debut. This was verified by KSI and Mams during one of Neon's streams. BL, well, he's here.
He's here, and he's here to take over. I mean, what a man to take over as well. What stature. He's really going to threaten the forces of Misfits Boxing. I'm interested to see how these streamers are going to transition into Misfits Boxing, because so far it's not been great. It's only been dramas. Who on earth is he going to fight? That's the question I have for you.
Yeah, I'm not sure. You know, I've seen Neon spar before, and it is really not all that impressive, you know? So, I mean, you put him against anyone that's picked up gloves, they will probably kill him. It probably will not be close. So, you got to be careful, but who knows? Maybe Neon has greatly improved in the 3 months since I saw him spar. So, you never know.
I'm hearing rumors of Anish Goyat obviously taking him on for that massive fight on Misfits Boxing. I'm really interested to see him come on. Obviously, it's going to bring a completely different fan base that we haven't seen yet on Misfits Boxing. It's going to be live. It's going to be exciting.
Yes, but I want to caution that this is something Mams Taylor had said, and I wanted to echo it. We want people who take it seriously. You know, this is not a game. It's boxing. You are getting punched in there. You are potentially getting knocked out in there. So unless Neon and these streamers are willing to put in the requisite time and actually committing to learning the craft a little bit, I'm not saying they got to be world beaters, then I'm just not sure. I mean, the last thing I want is someone strolling into the ring looking like a complete idiot, and then we've all got egg on our face because we've let someone in who has no business being in Misfits.
Well, let me throw it your way. Maybe Neon versus Sneeko is an interesting lineup.
Maybe.
Well, Ben, unfortunately, it seems the drama between Aiden Ross and Misfits is ongoing. It's far from over. Aiden has now thrown fuel to the fire by stating the intention to compete against Misfits on our upcoming event next week.
It's interesting. You know, he's trying to go head to head, and I want to mention that he's got a completely different audience and demographic. A lot of the people that are tuning in are not tuning in because they're boxing fans or they like Misfits and they just like Aiden. He could be sitting there losing more money to a rapper and people would be tuning in, right? So even if he puts this boxing event together on the same day, it'll probably do decently well, probably do pretty well. And Misfits will do really well, right? Because I don't think there's this Venn diagram that he believes there is.
I don't understand this whole we have to be against each other. Anything crossover boxing, as long as it's done properly, should help each other compete in a healthy manner, you know, help each other grow as a platform. And unfortunately, it just seems like it's been taken in such a nasty way. And, you know, I'm quite worried how this is going to be turned around, number one, in a week, how they're going to get it done legitimately when there's legal papers being sent to his house. I don't know if he's even going to sanction it. He says he wants it sanctioned. There's so many questions that are unanswered, and that's the true worry for me.
That's the biggest thing, right? Licensing. How is he going to get all that done and squared away so that it's a safe event in such a short amount of time? Again, if he changes it and it becomes a safer event, then we can have a different conversation about it. But until that's proven otherwise, I mean, dude, stop. Well, on the topic of Aiden's event announcement, tensions escalated yesterday as Dean the Great and Mams engaged in a heated back and forth on a Twitter space. This situation just appears to get further out of hand, and it's unclear exactly what's going on behind the scenes. But what was revealed in front one of the scenes, BL, was pretty interesting.
You know, Mams, I think, said all the right things. He didn't say anything wrong because he is in the right. Misfits is in the right. However, it's just getting ugly. You know, everything's public and these things should be done behind closed doors. And, you know, it actually has been revealed that Dean's now not injured. And Adam Salah saying that Dean doesn't want to fight the winner of the tournament. I don't even know what's going on anymore. It just seems like, again, a playground argument.
Yeah, you say revealed. I say it's just an opinion or him bullshitting potentially, right? I had a conversation with the guy and his coach, and the sentiment was, you know, hey, I'm still healing and recovering. So you could say you're not injured. That doesn't mean you're not injured, right? And Adam Saleh providing his thoughts on what Dean wants to do. Why does Adam Saleh know? How does Adam know that Dean doesn't want to fight the tournament winner? Why are we listening to Adam on this? Unless Dean says, hey, man, I don't want to do it, then sorry. But of course, Adam Saleh is going to throw more shit on the fire. The whole situation is boiled too much. It's gone too far. Let's handle it behind closed doors. This is just a little bit nasty.
Breaking news, KSI has just dropped a bombshell revealing that Evander Holyfield had offered him a massive fight via message. Now, Ben, obviously we heard Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. KSI versus Evander Holyfield. Does this make sense? Does this fight make sense to happen?
So Evander Holyfield is 61 years old. Does that answer your question? Guys, this is stupid. This is not something we should even entertain. That's great that Evander Holyfield is still putting his name out there, I guess, but the dude is in no shape to fight. And if you're going to criticize Jake Paul for fighting Mike Tyson, if KSI and Holyfield happens, you better bring the same energy. You better have the same energy because Holyfield and KSI should not in any realm occur right now. That's stupid.
Absolutely not. And KSI responded saying he wants nothing to do with that. He doesn't want to be a part of ruining someone's legacy. And Logan Paul actually interjected saying that he was offered the fight with Mike Tyson and he didn't want that fight because, again, he doesn't want to ruin Mike Tyson's legacy. So there seems to be a common trend. But Jake Paul, anyhow, he wants to take the fight. The rules have been revealed. There's not going to be any headgear. It's going to be 10-ounce gloves and it's going to go on their pro record. So this is being taken in a professional route, which, again, is very concerning. The fact that Mike Tyson is a 57-year-old man
who is about to get knocked out. I don't know. But yeah, a pro fight for Mike Tyson in 2024. Come on. BL, why don't we bring in the cream of the crop of the combat sports world, Mr. Ariel Helwani? One of the most respected figures in combat sports, host of the most renowned mixed martial arts show, broadcaster in some of the biggest boxing matches in the last couple of years, and 2003's HBO Sports Intern of the Year. It's Ariel Helwani. Sir, how are you?
Wow, what an intro. My guy. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Thank you, man. Definitely a blast from the past at the top there, but let's bring it to the present. Last week, dude, big one for MMA and boxing. You were there at AJ versus Ngannou. Give us your assessment and quick breakdown of the fight.
Okay, of the fight. Well, it didn't last very long, as you know. It only lasted 2 rounds. As I said, in the immediate aftermath, it was shocking to see Francis in that state because, as you know, as an MMA fan, we had never seen him really rocked, knocked down, or knocked out. And we saw it 3 times leading to the third one, which was the knockout blow. It was a devastating shot. It was actually somewhat reminiscent of his knockout of Stipe, where the knee buckles, right? But to see him out there, like on the mat and not moving, and then they bring out the oxygen and all that, it's terrifying stuff. And it's a reminder just how serious all of this is. October 28th was a dream for him. March 8th was a nightmare. It was an absolute nightmare, and it really couldn't have gone any worse. Given how well he did in the October 28th fight against Tyson Fury, that punched his ticket to this fight. If he would have gotten knocked out in the second round by Tyson Fury, this fight never happens. And so he's kind of playing with house's money at this point. He has the PFL deal waiting in the wings. He's making anywhere between 10 to 20 million for the first, around 20 million for the second. Like, this is all gravy. He's doing just fine. But I know he wasn't just there for the paycheck. He really wanted to become champion and beat AJ and then fight the winner of Usyk and Fury. So this is a massive step back. I would say it's a big win for PFL because I think this expedites his return to MMA and his debut in PFL.
And what did it mean for you personally to be involved on this broadcast? It was a massive one, huge names, and one Mr. Ariel Helwani leading the dance in a lot of different aspects.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I wouldn't say I was leading the dance per se. I think I was part of a team, and it was a great team. I really enjoy working those events for DAZN, and I enjoyed working them for Showtime prior to that as as well. It's just it's a fun experience. It's really a dream come true. Like that's exactly what I dreamed of doing when I was a kid. I didn't have any dreams or aspirations to be Mike Tyson or Roy Jones Jr., guys like that. I wanted to be the interviewer. I wanted to be the guy in the ring holding the microphone. I wanted to be the guy on the stage at the weigh-ins holding the microphone.
Now, I do need to transition to another headline of the week. Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. Obviously, it had me and Ben shocked. I want your initial reactions when you saw this headline posted.
It was kind of fascinating because I was at the weigh-ins. I had an inkling that this was coming out. I had heard about it, but I was told off the record and have to respect that. And so I kind of knew when it was coming out. I don't think a lot of other people knew. It was fascinating because I'm at the weigh-ins and there's all the boxing media there. And I got to see almost like this tidal wave, like take over everyone where everyone's reacting to this shock. There's chatter and all this stuff. And like, we're there for a pretty big weigh-in, Francis and AJ. Obviously, there was no intrigue as to whether or not they would make weight, but the two behemoths stepping on the scale. So that was a fascinating thing that I'll never forget. But I'll go back to the original reaction when I first heard about it, which wasn't at the weigh-ins, but when I first heard about it I was like, oh, wow, I didn't see that coming for multiple reasons. Number one, Jake had been on this path, which I was actually intrigued by, where he was like just fighting regular guys, not influencers, not other athletes, not MMA fighters, just regular dudes. Andre August, Ryan Borland, these aren't people that any boxing fan has heard of, but it's the type of opponent that an 8-1, 9-1 fighter fights. It doesn't matter if your name is Terrence Crawford or Canelo Alvarez or Tyson Fury, those are the people that you fight. I was like, okay, much respect. I know some people didn't like it, but I was curious to see how far he would take this. Now he's really into the boxing game. To me, the most intriguing part about it all was Netflix. Netflix, we know, is getting into the live sports and entertainment world come January of 2025 with WWE Raw. I don't think a lot of people expected them to get into it in 2024, certainly not in July, with a fight like this. So Netflix has approximately 260 million subscribers, and that doesn't account for password sharing and all that stuff. And it's available pretty much in every country. Maybe there's one or two out there that it isn't. So, this could be the most watched event in boxing history or combat sports history. It's Netflix. Like that's a behemoth. We're not talking about any other streaming platform. Like that is probably the top one.
Our next question does turn into Misfits and influencer boxing, really just as a whole. There was a quote from you where you said, it's not boxing, you can't call it boxing. I wanted to unpack that because there were positives, but overall, what do you think about influencer boxing?
Okay, so I feel like that's like a bit of a taking out of context situation. What I said was like it's its own thing. It's not just boxing, it's influencer boxing. So there's amateur boxing, there's pro boxing, and I think influencer boxing is its own separate category. You can attest to this. There are people who are just influencer boxing fans. There are people who just like influencer boxing and the characters and the events and the personalities and the rivalries, and aren't necessarily gearing up to watch Dmitry Bivol versus Artur Beterbiev on June 1st. You know what I mean? And so I think when you look at it through that lens, I can see that there is a difference. There's obviously a thread that is the same. It's the same sport, but I don't put it in the same bucket. So to me, it's like, okay, what's going on in the influencer boxing world? I don't confuse that with what's going on between, Canelo and PBC and Jaime Munguia and Golden Boy and Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia. It's all very different. I'm very impressed by the fan base. I'm very impressed by the youth that follows these characters and how passionate they are and how devoted they are.
I want to talk about that last time I saw you, KSI and Tommy Fury fight. What did you make of that entire event?
I enjoyed immensely. I was very impressed by, like I said, the kids and the turnout, and they were there from the prelims all the way to the main card. I actually really enjoyed the tag team match. First time I ever seen a tag team match in person, and it was riveting because there were ebbs and flows, highs and lows, so that was a lot of fun. I didn't think the KSI Tommy Fury fight was fun. I didn't think it was a fun watch. I think I said on the broadcast that it was borderline unwatchable. There was just a lot of clutching and a lot of holding, and I blame the referee for not being more stern with the overall officiating. Like, how many times can you do that over and over and over again? I really wanted to see what was going to happen between these two guys, and I thought it was a big step up for KSI. That wasn't great. Obviously, the Logan Dillon fight, I actually thought the game plan was really smart, and I spoke to Plinio Cruz, who's Alex Pereira's head coach, who helped train Dillon a little bit leading up to that fight, and the game plan was to just let Logan punch himself out second round, back into the third, start unloading the clip. Unfortunately, he never did that, and it felt felt like he was more interested in just, I don't know, having a moment, a viral moment, or maybe just not getting knocked out, maybe just not being on the receiving end of a viral moment. I don't know, but that was a bit of a bummer as well. But overall, it was a really great experience. And I love working with Ariel at DAZN, and we got to work with some of the other guys there as well. It was a highlight of 2023 for me.
What are your thoughts on people saying that when Jake Paul and KSI fight, influencer boxing's dead? They say crossover boxing is done. I always disagree. And I say, for instance, the UFC's has many different eras and different cash cows. But a lot of influencer boxing fans feel once that fight occurs, everything else is done.
Like it's the final boss fight. Honestly, I mean, at this point, is it fair to say that Misfits, they're carrying the flag? There's no other promotion that is in the influencer boxing space that is putting on events month after month. Is that a fair thing to say?
I think that's a fair assessment.
I think they've done a great job of not just making it the KSI show. I think they're really smart when it comes to building events and building characters and all that stuff. And so the key will be to have someone else who's going to be able to carry the torch. I don't know, like, who's that guy, who's going to be that draw, who's going to be that face. I don't agree with the sentiment that once that fight happens, the whole thing just crumbles. It's a business now. They have a multi-year deal with DAZN. They have multiple fighters that are known all around the world. Like, it doesn't just fizzle out after that fight happens.
Well, we've spoken a lot about KSI and Jake Paul. I do have to ask. It's my responsibility to ask. What's your breakdown of that fight? Do you think Jake Paul has gone too far into that professional route? Do you think Jake Paul's at different level now, or do you think that's an even matchup still?
I'm curious, what weight do you think it would be at?
I think if they were to agree, it would be a 180.
Oh, wow. Jake's a big boy now, huh? Like, I saw him in
Yes.
Puerto Rico. He is big. Is it a fair thing to say that Jake is training more consistently?
I think that's very fair.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's something to that. Not to say that KSI can't turn it on, and I know he has a great team and he trains with great fighters over at London Shoot Fighters, but I do think that, and obviously Jake has had more fights, right? He just had his 10th. So I would say that he's a little bit more of a veteran if you want to compare the two. Still think that they're in the novice category, and that's not a shot at them. They have no amateur career. They haven't been doing this since they were 8 years old, etc. Given the size and given the experience, I think Jake would probably be the favorite going into the fight. I'm sure there's a line out there somewhere. Do you guys know what the line is? Is Jake a favorite?
That's a good question.
I mean, it really depends who you ask.
I feel like some sportsbook out there has put it out there. They've had to have put it out there.
Jake's probably the favorite in every sports book. If I was making a line on it, I'd probably put him as the favorite.
Yeah, just given the experience, and obviously the last couple fights didn't last very long, but people don't like the Tyson fight. I get it. People don't like the Borland fight. I get it. Andre Agassi fight. I get it. Diaz fight. I get it. I get it. But honestly, like, there is something to be said for just stepping through the ropes. You know, Ben, better than me. There's anxiety, there's nerves, there's preparation, there's doubt. He's done it now 10 times. There's something to that. You have to give him credit. I have respect for anyone, from you to Dustin Poirier to Sean O'Malley to Merab to Islam to anyone at all. You step in there, you put it on the line, you risk your health. It's a very, very, very impressive and commendable thing. So I know he rubs people the wrong way, and everyone is entitled to their own opinion, but the fact that he has stuck with it this long, I don't think a lot of people thought would be the case.
I want to shift it away from the influencer and crossover scene to some traditional boxers and recent events with one Ryan Garcia. It's been a pretty interesting last couple weeks. What has been your reactions and takeaways from maybe some of the tweets or the videos that have come out from him?
I've long been an admirer of Ryan Garcia's, even especially like dating back. Actually, the Helwani boxing thing in the pandemic kind of like was spawned off of him, because he used to do that thing with the ball and all that. And so I was doing it, and then I was calling him out like as a joke, like, what do you think of my skills? And was showing him a lot of love because I thought he was a phenomenal boxer, and his speed and power was just mesmerizing when he's posting all those clips. And was super excited about him fighting Tank Davis, and I thought he deserved a lot of credit for making that fight happen when there was probably a lot of people surrounding him telling him not to take the fight, given the hydration clause and lack of a rematch clause and all this stuff. And he went out there when a lot of people were calling him a social media fighter or whatever, Instagram fighter, and he's like, F it, I'm going to fight the toughest guy and let the chips fall where they may. Comes back, has a solid performance. I know some people are critical of it, but it looks like, we're getting back on track here. The fight week leading up to that Oscar Duarte fight was mesmerizing because it was so awkward between him and Oscar and Bernard Hopkins. Then all of a sudden you start to hear him, maybe he's going to fight Rolly, maybe he's going to fight Isaac Cruz. Oh man, it's Devin Haney. Again, he doesn't have to take this fight. He's seeking the biggest fight. He's going out of his way to move mountains to get the fight that we all want. He's not ducking or padding his record or anything like that. Like, this is amazing. And then he was on my show on, was like a couple of weeks ago, a couple of Mondays ago, and that was fine. There was, the Sean O'Malley call out and some of the stuff with Oscar you can nitpick, but it was relatively fine. And then it just seemed like after that, leading up to that press conference, the first one in New York and then the second one in LA, it just got a little bit wacky. And so first and foremost, like, I just hope he's okay, because some of the stuff was a little bit unsettling. I really like Ryan a lot, and I really think he's a very smart young man and an incredible athlete. And I hope that the powers that be, whether it's the network, the promoters, etc., are first looking after him. No fight is more important than your health. If he's not in the right physical and mental state to fight, he shouldn't fight on April 27th, 20th, as much as I really want to see that fight. And I'm incredibly excited to see it play out, and love the fact that it's in my backyard in Brooklyn. They need to make sure. It feels like he's turning the corner a little bit. He's in Dallas now. I know that he's still active on social media. Fine. He's always like that. But there was that like 10 or so day stretch where it was getting a little bit freaky. And I know there were some people who thought he was just promoting or trolling or anything like that. It started to cross over into the point where it's like, I just hope he's okay, you know? And I really, really like him a lot as a person in my dealings with him, but also as a fighter. I hope he's okay, because the last thing you want is someone not to be okay going up against Devin Haney, one of the best boxers pound for pound on the planet. What he's done as of late, nothing short of amazing, and that could get pretty serious and pretty scary. So hopefully being in Dallas, away from everything, being with Derek James, gets him back on the straight and narrow, and we get to see the best version of him. Because like leading up to that Tank Davis fight, like he seemed locked in and he seemed ready for the moment. I thought he handled the moment amazingly, and I would love for us to go back to that, Ryan Garcia.
BL, any last questions for Ariel Helwani?
I just want to give you the moment to be able to talk to any Misfits Boxing fan sitting at home, obviously, that aspire up to you, and just give your final sort of messages to being on Misfits News.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me, and I appreciate the invite very much, and you guys are doing a great job, and Ben, you know, I'm a big fan as well. I would just say to anyone out there, like, this is kind of the way I like to live life, and I'm trying to do it as much as possible. I'm not quite someone who has perfected it just yet, but I just feel like we are all very lucky to be alive. And the last thing I want in life is to regret what I didn't do. Meaning, I don't want to wake up when I'm 80 years old and say like, man, I should have went for it. I should have zigged when I zagged. I shouldn't have said no to this. I should have not let my anxiety, because I do have that, or my doubts get the best of me. Go out there and do things. For example, you know, I was trepidatious about going to Saudi Arabia. I wasn't quite sure how to feel, and I did it, and I'm so happy that I did it, and I'm grateful for the opportunity. And so I think that's what life is all about: going out there, following your heart, following your dreams, dreaming big as possible, even if it seems absurd. Dream, like I've seen you, Ben, kind of like wedge your way in there. You're different. You create your lane. Don't be like everyone else. Get your elbows out, have your own voice, and go out there and don't take no for an answer. It's a beautiful thing. So I would just tell anyone, regardless of what you want to do, media, fighting, postman, architect, doctor, dentist, optometrist, whatever it is, just dream as big as possible. Go out there, get it done, and then when it's all said and done, hopefully you have lived a great life and don't have many regrets along the way.
Well, Ariel Helwani, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
you,
Ariel.
guys. Appreciate it.
Like Howard inspired you, you've inspired many. Hope to chat with you soon, sir.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
What an honor it is to have Ariel Helwani as a guest. BL, what did you make of his thoughts on Jake Paul versus KSI?
I really thought it was interesting. Obviously, he brings up some really good points. Jake Paul is taking it more seriously as of right now. He is obviously active. He's having more fights and he's bigger. So these are all things taken into account. But you can never underestimate the Nightmare KSI. He always seems to bring it back when he comes in and takes over Influence of Boxing. But something he said, we need to see this fight. Jake Paul and KSI. We can't do what traditional boxing does. We need to make this fight happen.
What an amazing episode it's been, packed with announcements, drama, and an amazing interview with one Mr. Helwani. Misfits News, bringing you the latest happenings from the world of combat sports. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us every Tuesday and Thursday for more updates. I've been Ben the Bane Davis for BL. We've been Misfits News.